I broke my back.
What do you mean by that?
My back is broken.
What do you mean, calm it down? It's a fight. Referees telling two fighters who want to fight to calm it down. He should calm down.
I saw he's like a clown in his show, man. He's not your guy.
Because Tyson Fury's back, and all you motherfuckers are under attack. Look, Eddie Hearn can say all what he likes. Who gives a shit what Eddie Hearn says? It's garbage.
Are you off your tits? Have you been smoking something?
Can you let me retire and be happy? Please, just please.
Bombs away from the Bronx Bomber!
Water! Let's go, baby! Let's go! I'm through. They put somebody else up and give me an interview.
What are you talking about? What are you talking about?
You never give me a fair shake. HBO needs to fire you. You don't know shit about boxing. You ain't shit. You're not shit.
I wish I was 50 years younger and I'd kick your ass.
I got drunk, man.
Are you kidding?
No, you won the fight.
OMG. I am so excited.
Yes. What is up, MCR family? A little semi-daily edition of the show live on YouTube. And I'm Solo Dolo, Matt the Hipster Hunter. Going to be talking all things boxing. No Rob, no Gary, and, of course, no Foo. So I'll be taking a lot more of you guys' comments and chats, etc., from, obviously, the YouTube chat. So if you guys want to leave a question, leave a topic, whatever, in the chat, I'll be sure to get to as much as I can. It's definitely an interesting show ahead of us because I don't think a lot of people are aware of the news that's out there and how much I am ready to rant and rave about it. But I am here. Canelo Alvarez, I thought and his lawyer put out a good article through ESPN that I don't think got enough attention, so I'm excited to sort of dive into that one. DAZN, and I think sort of their overall landscape of their U.S. venture, I think is needing to be questioned right now, and I can't wait to dive into that. Obviously, we had a fight last night. We had DAZN's first fight. Speaking of DAZN, we have Vergil Ortiz against Vargas. Going to review that fight as well, dissect what I thought about good old Ortiz and what I think his sort of ceiling is, because I know Gary's somewhere, hyped as hell that Ortiz won, and he said that he can't be on the show, but I'm probably going to echo a lot of his feelings. And shout out to people in the chat already. Nija, Rubiski, hope everyone's having a fantastic day, evening, night, wherever you are. And we do have some fights on right now. Nija, I do believe, obviously, the UK, the Joe Joyce card. I don't think it's on ESPN, though. I checked and I couldn't find it. But I'll turn on ESPN again and see if I can find it. And that's why I'm doing a show, because I can't watch the fight from what I was aware of. But digressing, guys, we do have a lot to get into, so let's get into it. And like I said, hit the like button, share the show, subscribe, patreon.com/Mixed Combat Radio. And like I said, I am Solo Dolo, so if you do want to drop a question or topic or whatever in the chat, I will be sure to get to it. You don't have to worry about super chats. I'm here for the people. Juan Davidson, Mike Tyson, Tio Trinidad, we have a common opponent. Crazy. Oh, it's just a weird time, isn't it? Let's get to this first topic, though. One that I think really just went under the radar for some reason, and that is this article from Steve Kim and ESPN talking about DAZN being the one that's the primary holdup in Canelo's next fight. I'm going to read some aspects of it. Promoter Eddie Hearn has said WBA super middleweight champion Callum Smith is the leading contender to face Alvarez in the fall. However, multiple sources told ESPN that DAZN is asking for a steep discount from Alvarez for this particular fight, which is keeping the matchup from being finalized. Quote now from Canelo's lawyer, Greg Smith. Quote, Canelo is in great shape. He's been training hard. He is absolutely ready and on track to fight in September. If it's up to him and only him, he would have already announced the fight. There's obviously other parties and other things involved that are out of his control, but everything he can control, he's on track and prepared. Everybody, including Team Canelo, is waiting to find out if DAZN is going to live up to its obligations. I am aware of no other sticking points. DAZN declined comment to ESPN on the subject. I also want to add some other parts to this. Let me see if I can find it really quickly. Something that I was kind of shocked about, but I thought people should be aware of. Let me see if I can find it. I should have already mapped out where I thought this was. Here it is. A source familiar with this relationship told ESPN that officials at DAZN have grown increasingly frustrated with the matchups that have been formulated for Alvarez. While the likes of Jacobs and Stoikovlev are certainly solid, they didn't have the type of impact that a third go-around with Golovkin would have produced for the streaming service. Then they talk about both Golovkin and DAZN being on board for the September fight last year, and Alvarez not wanting it. Now, guys, there's some more here about DAZN that I think is a compounding issue that I'm going to try to connect all. If I fail to do that, I apologize. I'm going to try to do my best to connect these very disconnected issues into a singular issue. Nigel saying, "Oh, the fight is on ESPN." I was right. Thank you. See, I knew the fight was on ESPN. Yeah, I'm side topic here. I do wonder if that Frank Warren ESPN Plus deal is still in effect. I know Rob has been trying to figure out if it is or not. I don't think he ever got back to me on if we still have a Frank Warren Queensborough Promotions deal with ESPN Plus in terms of distribution in the U.S. But digressing back to the main topic of Canelo. So 2 parts here. One, we have DAZN, because we know Golden Boy was asking for a discount. But now we have officially the network asking their biggest, in terms of their U.S. Department, right? The U.S. side of it, the U.S. region of DAZN. We know that DAZN just had a huge $4 billion plus deal with, I forget the name of the German soccer league. So we know that DAZN in other places of the world is far more successful, like exponentially more successful in gathering up mainstream sporting ventures, brands, and athletes. However, in the U.S., Canelo Alvarez is it, right? Like, there's real no argument that anything else under DAZN U.S. is a true subscriber driver, so to speak. Even Bellator, which I think has its audience, isn't the subscription driver that a Canelo Alvarez fight is, or 2 fights is in a year, right? So we have the network now coming out and saying that, not coming out and them saying it, but from the sources from Steve Kim saying that they are asking Canelo for a steep discount. We also know that from Steve Kim's article that they believe the Kovalev and Daniel Jacobs fights were underwhelming. I'm going to use that word. I know that word was not used here, but I'm going to use that. That they believe that those fights were underwhelming in terms of driving subscribers to the network or to the platform. A few things about that. One, there's no way they can get away with actually trying to undermine his pay and give him a pay cut. That's just not going to work. Canelo is young enough and wealthy enough to sit out. And like I've been telling everyone on every show, I think me and Rob had this debate on the last show, maybe it was me and Gary, about how our perception of whether or not Canelo is going to take that pay cut or not. No, he's not. And we have his lawyer out here saying that this is the only sticking point to his next fight. Everything else is good. We're going to fight Callum Smith next. Okay? We're going to get that real belt at 168. But we only have one sticking point, and it's that DAZN wants to pay us less than what they are obligated to pay us per this contract that they not only sign, but they then use as publicity for the network. Let's not forget that DAZN used Canelo's deal and contract as a main PR sort of booster for their platform when they signed him. This was this big, huge news that DAZN signed Canelo to the biggest sports deal ever, blah, 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 blah. Like, that was the news, right? Back in a year and a half ago now, right? So there's no way Canelo's going to take a pay cut when those two things have happened. A, there's a contract, and B, you use that contract to promote yourself more than any other product in the United States of America. So therefore, I have leverage. Secondly, to the issue of Kovalev and Jacobs fights being underwhelming, I will say this. Brief caveat. Of course, those fights will not and should not, in theory, do the numbers that a third Triple G fight would do. Like, no one would argue otherwise. However, there's no way those fights should have been underwhelming for any platform. It's just impossible. If those fights were on traditional pay-per-view distribution platforms, it would have sold above 500,000 pay-per-view buys easy. Kovalev might have hit close to 1 million. It might have done Cotto numbers, right? Or might have done 900,000. Those were big fights. Those were sellable fights too, in a lot of different ways. I think Jacobs is one of the most undersold fighters of his generation. Okay, and plus he's a fantastic fighter. That was a unification in the middleweight division. You could have easily sold that. The Kovalev fight, Canelo moving up 2 weight classes, taking on the Crusher Kovalev with all this power. You could have sold it as him facing Triple G, but bigger. Like, you could have really sold it in a lot of ways. And it's not like Kovalev and Triple G's pay-per-view numbers are different as A-sides. Like, that's not a reality. So, DAZN is going to be in a lot of trouble if they refuse to just follow through with their obligation. I am curious to see what transpires when this happens. Because there's no way Canelo's taking a goddamn pay cut. And when this happens, when that, fork in the road meets, how does DAZN handle it? Because from what try to connect it to now, what we've seen now is that when they are being called up to pay their rights fees, they either don't pay or they cancel the deals. Like when they cancel their MLB deal, the $300 million 3-year deal to have a near live highlight show for all the MLB games. They canceled this deal the week MLB came back. Okay. Yankees and Nationals just did 4 million viewers on ESPN as an average. Okay. And just to try to connect it all to, the same week, we also know that DAZN signed a deal with Bare Knuckle Fighting Championship for DAZN US. Whoop-de-fucking-do. Okay. To all the execs at DAZN.
What are you? An idiot sandwich.
Like, you're telling your biggest commodity in the United States, take a pay cut or, kiss our ass, basically. You told the only mainstream sporting league that you have any deal with in the United States to fuck off and ripped up a contract. And then you signed with the equivalent to a gas station hot dog of sports. What is DAZN doing here? Like, it's asinine. It does not make any sense to me. I want somebody, we have about 15 people listening right now and watching. I want opinions on this. Like, even pro DAZN people listening. I want somebody to walk me off the ledge to say that DAZN is not completely fucking up right now in the time and the period in sports entertainment where you cannot fuck up. Let's just be honest about it. If you misstep here, especially as a growing new business like DAZN, you can't recover post-pandemic, in my opinion. That doesn't happen. You have to maneuver this period in a brilliant manner, and I don't think DAZN is doing that at all. If anything, DAZN has made every step in the opposite direction you should do. Rotary Rebuilds in the chat saying BKFC is rising in popularity, though, Matt. Is it, though? Is it? Can you point me to any data to prove that? Pay-per-view buys, viewership, gate. Can you point to any metric to say, hey, it is rising in attention? It's a sideshow, freak show, bullshit thing. It always has been. It leeches off of old combat sports fighters. Old fighters that clearly should not be anywhere near gloves, a ring, or a cage. Come on. And he's saying, plus, Rebuilds in the chat, saying, plus DAZN launching in the UK, we have a massive MMA and boxing following here. Yeah, but you do understand, you're not going to get your boxing if you're telling your best boxer that you have to take a pay cut. Okay, I agree that I think Callum Smith would be a really smart fight for the worldwide opening of DAZN, the opening of DAZN in the UK. I know a lot of people that listen to the show in the UK have the beta for DAZN. So I understand that a lot of people are experimenting with it now. They know that it usually provides content they like. But guess what? It can't provide the content you like if it won't pay those athletes what they are contractually obligated to. It won't happen. So, sorry. Like, I understand your point that they like boxing and MMA, and that you're right. But to make it, you need more than boxing and MMA. The reason why, like, Showtime was never in trouble last year, even though they had an awful schedule, was because they had tons of original programming that is really the bread and butter. The boxing just, in a way, a side piece in terms of side revenue for Showtime. Same with HBO back in the day. Same with ESPN now. Maybe not so much now. They kind of need the UFC more than anything, especially during this pandemic. But they got mainstream sports back. Again, we have the New York Yankees and Nationals came in with a 4 million average on ESPN. Offer it. Meanwhile, Top Rank is struggling to do more than 300,000 average. Freak show too. If you think in 25, 30 years that BKFC will be a multi-billion-dollar company, man, I have some lakeside property in Montana to sell you. Trust me, you're going to love it. I love it. Rubisky saying LMAO. Yeah, I know. PD saying True Matt. PD, been a while, man. I don't think I've seen you in a minute. Maybe just because I'm talking in the chat more often on this show than others. But from what I see, I to sort of sum up this topic and then to move on, I don't know how DAZN really makes it in the U.S. Again, I've already said that in other markets, they've been grossly successful and have a lot of mainstream properties. But in the U.S., they don't. And the only sort of mainstream property they have, or mainstream properties they had, was the MLB Change-Up Show and a Canelo-Alvarez fight, or 2 fights a year. That was it. They're telling one of those to take a pay cut, and they ripped up the contract of the other. You cannot be a successful sports network without mainstream sports. Sorry, if you're going to be the Netflix of sports, think about that, that's what they were going to be. They came out saying we're going to be the Netflix of sports. But you have Vergil Ortiz, Samuel Vargas, and bare knuckle fighting. Like, that's it. I looked at the Showtime schedule for boxing. The best fights are Terry Harper and Natasha Jonas, Celia Brækhus, and this is in order. It's just these 3. Celia Brækhus and Jessica McCaskill, and then obviously Jorge Linares, Javier Fortuna. That's the 3 best fights they have on the entire docket. That's it. And right now, they're the highest level fights that DAZN has this year. We don't know about an AJ fight. We don't know about a Canelo fight. How is that happening? Like, how can DAZN survive? And then again, get rid of your MLB deal and programming the week MLB comes back. Who was in the boardroom that said, yeah, you know what, we shouldn't pay that $100 million this year. We can't. Who said that? I get maybe if like week 2 or month 1 of this pandemic, they started canceling contracts. I would get that to a degree. But they waited till the 11th hour when the clock was gonna strike midnight, things were gonna be good again to a degree. Like, no, fuck it. Nuke the world. Done. Nuke the contract. We're out of here. That doesn't make sense. I want someone to make sense for it, like for it to me. Like, I want someone to explain why that would make sense from a business perspective. I've yet to see anyone do it. Let me see. Dwayne, what up, Matt? Solo today? Yes, I am. Yes, it's very sad. Should be illegal.
That's fucking illegal.
It should be, but
Hey, I'm not surprised, motherfuckers.
I'm not surprised. Rob's too busy. Big leaguing me, Does Canelo leave DAZN? He would have to. I would imagine the only way you can actually do that would be either to buy out your contract, which I don't know if you could do that. Wait out maybe a certain period of time. You know, like that does happen where if like your contract doesn't get fulfilled in a certain amount or a lot amount of time, that contract now becomes void. That's possible. So like let's say if we get in a scenario here where Canelo goes all year without getting a fight because they're not going to pay him what he's owed, does he have a legal standing to say that his contract's void now? I don't know. I don't know the particulars of his contract, but that's possible. If he had really good lawyers, he would have put some clauses like that in this contract, some escape route, so to speak, to get out of it, because it could have gone south. When you're going to a new network like this, you have to anticipate stuff like this going south or the business not being right. And hopefully he anticipated that and put in, escape clauses in his contract. Reese could say no Dylan White fight. I mean, it's probably up there for big fights, but I'll put it this way. In terms of like fights that I'm personally excited for, I'm not as excited for White Povetkin the more I think about it. I think that fight's going to be really one-sided and potentially kind of ugly to a degree. Not ugly like it's being like a bad fight, but it being like too one-sided. Povetkin, he's clearly been aging more and more, and I've gone back and watched, the Mike Hunter fight last week because I was actually thinking about this issue. And he just did not look good against Michael Hunter, who I never thought was the cream of the crop. And Dylan White is a top 5-ish guy in the division, honestly. Like, I'm one of those people that really highly rates Dylan White, even though he does have issues in his game. He should knock out Povetkin within 6 rounds. Like, I think if it goes past 6, I'll be shocked. And if it goes past 6, it may be more of an issue of conditioning and how well these guys trained for this fight. That is something I do wonder. We have seen some fighters, miss weight badly. Some fighters' cardio not be the same. With heavyweights, I would, be wary of their cardio in a pandemic time when they maybe cannot train as they normally can. There was talk of Shannon the Cannon going to bare knuckle. I'm not gonna lie, I watched. Yeah, there was rumor about Shannon Briggs going. See, I might watch that on a stream. Or here's the thing, with all those bare knuckle fights, I can find clips on them on Twitter or Instagram the night of, right? Like there's a cool knockout or some violent shit that happens. It's on social media immediately. So why would I pay for it? I would never pay to watch that content, especially since it was pay-per-view until this DAZN thing. Now it's going to be on a paid subscription service. Hypothetically, where would Canelo go if he left DAZN? Top Rank, ESPN, PBC, and Fox? No, free agent. He's his own man now. When your name is Canelo Alvarez, you don't need to have a promoter. I'm a firm believer of that. You can have business dealings, right, with certain people. You can have managers and advisors and stuff like that. But a promoter? No. Not at all. If I'm him, I'm the headhunter now. Or you would still probably want to sign a network deal in a way, because that's how you can get a large chunk of money guaranteed. Mayweather did it. Canelo did it. There was some thought behind that. So if he got, let's say, a big Fox deal or a big Showtime deal or a big ESPN deal, like that would make sense to a degree. But I would not sign with a promoter. I would make that very clear. I'm not signing a Top Rank. It's Canelo Promotions. And I would start, putting shows in Mexico all the time because he has gyms in Mexico. He lives in Mexico. I would start putting shows on in Mexico and start building up local talent and build up your promotional company. That's what I would do. To me, Canelo's on that path now where he can do both. He's fighting twice a year. So, in theory, he needs only 6 months out of the year to train. The other 6 months, he could use that to run a promotional company and be the figurehead of it. That is the pattern for big-time fighters. And even big-time fighters do it and fail often. Like Evander Holyfield, Roy Jones Promotions has a semi-successful promotional company. I think Mike Tyson obviously had a promotional company at one point too. I don't think he still has one, but I think he did. All the big names do. Very few are successful, but I think Canelo could be. Canelo seems to surround himself with smart business people. I'll say that. Canelo's team always does seem like a very tight-knit and efficient unit. Iso saying Canelo would just meet with networks on his own. Yeah, I mean, you could obviously just do that, go to each network. But, I mean, if you want, let's say, like a 6-fight deal like Showtime gave to Mayweather, like that wouldn't be out of the question. But Mayweather did not sign a promotional deal. He was Mayweather Promotions, right? Similar, I would assume that Oscar, towards the end of his career, had deals with like HBO, Showtime, even though he had Golden Boy Promotions. That's not out of the question. But I would not be signed to Bob Arum if I'm Canelo. That makes no sense. Or Eddie Hearn. And maybe not even like an Al Heyman. Like, I just wouldn't do that if I'm Canelo Alvarez. If you want to, that's fine. Pacquiao's done it, for fuck's sake. And Mayweather's done it. Like, it's not out of the question to have an advisor like Al Heyman or maybe a guy like Jay Prince involved. But it wouldn't be my first thing I go to. It wouldn't be something I have to do if I'm Canelo. And plus, if you're Canelo and you've been under the heel of promotional network battles since you're like 18 years old, 17 years old, then I would, if I'm him, I imagine that I would love to be like free of all of that and to just make my own decisions and not have to worry about answering to anyone or getting the yes from anyone. I'm my own boss. Rubisky saying, Matt, do you still see Canelo fighting at the age of 35? Yes, I do. Yes, I don't think Canelo stops off anytime soon. Showtime gives Canelo a blank check. I do think some of those networks, like, when you look at what Canelo can give them, even after, how many fights is he now in his DAZN deal? Is it just 2? No. Jacobs and Kovalev. Is that it? Because the Rocky Fielding fight was just like a plus, right? So he has 8 more fights left. So 4 more years. So if he was, let's say, to keep fighting and no issues, he would have, again, 4 more years. So he'd be 35. No, 33. Yeah, 33. Because he's 29 right now, 30 years old. Is he 30 yet? I can't remember. Canelo's 30 years old. Okay, so he'd be 34, 35 years old by the time he gets out of his DAZN deal, theoretically, if he doesn't have to wait it out. Yeah, he gets a big deal after that, for sure. I don't see Canelo dropping off either by the time he reaches 35. I see Canelo that still improves from fight to fight in some ways. Since Canelo is such a big star, would you say he doesn't have to fight any big names anymore? Thoughts, Matt? It's not that. It's that the big names for him now seem a lot more average, right? Like a Cal Smith fight and Billy Joe Saunders fight, like those fights seem like just a little bit of like a normal fight now for Canelo in a way. So the big fights for him are going to be harder to find. And similar to like the top guy, like Mayweather, Pacquiao are going to be prime examples when we compare and contrast Canelo with any stars. It's like they were fighting guys that were really good, if not great fighters all the time. They never fought bad fighters. When's the last guy that Canelo fought that was bad? Rocky Fielding, maybe. But that was on like 3 months' notice, and he just sort of gave it to the zone. Other than that, it's been pretty good. Like Amir Khan, that's still a really good fighter. Yes, there's obvious issues with that matchup and how it was made and how you make Khan go up. And I understand that, but the name value itself, it's still good, right? So the idea of like, does Canelo need to fight big names anymore? No, but that's more of that's not because he's fighting non-big names now. It's just because the names he's fighting seem so vastly different from his name value. That's just how it looks. Like a Jamal Charlo fight with Canelo is a great fucking fight, right? But is that a big name? I don't know. I don't know what we would define as big names now for Canelo, especially in terms of monetary gain, right? In terms of financial reward, in terms of it being a big fight, impactful as the zone wants, right? I don't know what names that would be. The normal names that we talk about for Canelo kind of seem just like normal names, but that's not to diminish them. It just shows Canelo's greatness. Road to Rebuild saying, Matt, did you see the article that Gerald Miller might not get banned as he only had 0.03 milligrams of GW1516 in his system, which is likely traces from last year? No, I did not see that. What outlet was it? I can find that pretty fast if you want me to, because I will do that. You know me, I love talking about PEDs and shit. That's like one of my top 3 or 5 topics to rant on. Let me see. Team Batman Boxing, what up, man? Saying Canelo is clear pound for pound number 1. Golden Boy should do better. Yeah, I mean, it's not Golden Boy, it's DAZN too. Like, DAZN is the network saying that they want a steep discount for a Canelo fight, and that's just not going to happen in today's age. Canelo should be asking for hazard pay, for fuck's sake. I'm the pound for pound number 1 fighter. You want me to risk getting a deadly disease that damages people's lungs? Nah, fuck that. Pay me more. That's what I would be doing from the very get-go, and I would not be straying from that, honestly. Until DAZN says, yes, we will fulfill all of the obligations of your contract and pay you what you're worth, then no, I'm going to sit this one out. Team Batman saying, can anybody think of a fighter from the modern era who went 56 fights without hitting the canvas, plus having the best resume in the sport other than Pacquiao? Duran? I'm just throwing out names. I really don't know. And again, not a boxing in terms of history expert. I will never claim I'm a historian when it comes to the sport. Far better people than me on that. But Duran would be like a name that I throw out off the top of my head. Chavez, I about to say junior. Chavez Senior. Like, when did he first get like knocked down or ever get knocked down? I can't remember. Kovalev almost lost to a prospect before fighting Canelo. That helps make sense of it. What do you mean by it, though? I'm curious what you mean by that. And what didn't Kovalev beat Alvarez before the Alvarez fight, or did he have an in-between fight that I'm forgetting? Am I forgetting that? Because didn't he rematch Eddie Alvarez and then go right into the Canelo fight, or was there an in-between fight against was it McCallan or whatever that guy's name is, right? The guy that goes cruiserweight and down a lot. I could be imagining that, but I thought Kovalev fought Alvarez to Alvarez. Whatever. Let's talk about this Mike Tyson fight, because I guess we got to talk about it, right, guys? Unfortunately. Triller, which is an app, has paid per CNN and by way of Manuk Aquapine. Shout out to Manuk. Good guy. Saying Triller paid north of $50 million. Oh, Yard. Oh, Iso, stop with the Yard hate. Stop that. That was a great fight. And Yard's the real deal. But digressing back to this Mike Tyson topic. Mike Tyson, Roy Jones exhibition is now going to be distributed on Triller, which is an app, and they paid $50 million. Triller says this app has been downloaded more than 140 million times and has 50 million monthly active users. Notable Hollywood producer Ryan Kavanaugh acquired the company in 2018. By the way, don't bet on this fight, people, or air quotes fight. California State Athletic Director Andy Foster briefed me in on Tyson Jones. 12-ounce gloves, no headgear, no judges, /scoring, no winner. Quote, they can move around and make some money. I told them, you get cut, it's over, end quote. So yes, not going to be a great competitive, action-packed fight. If you want more, this article by Manuk on Boxing Scene, good stuff. Really complete in terms of information. But here's my thoughts on this. Look, first off, I don't want to see this in any way, shape, or form. I don't want either guy to get hurt. Both guys left boxing on very down notes in terms of competitiveness, right? In ring activity, right? Both guys have been involved outside for long times and have been quite effective or quite influential still in the industry. I mean, Roy Jones's run as HBO commentator, I think, is, I was about to say, is almost as legendary as his boxing career, but that would be ridiculous. I mean, these guys have been very wealthy and successful outside of boxing. They left in the ring on losses. And with Roy Jones, knockout loss after knockout loss after knockout loss after knockout loss, there's no way on God's green earth that I want either one of these guys to get hit in the head anymore. I don't have any urge in me. I have no desire to watch that. It just seems like gross misconduct by everyone involved, if I'm being completely honest. In terms of like it being distributed on Triller, I don't know the app. I know some people know about it. I think it's a music video kind of app. I don't know about it. I don't have the app. It doesn't matter to me in this fight, air quotes fight, because there's no winner. If anyone gets cut, it's over. There's no judges. It just seems like an excuse to collect a bunch of money at once, and on top of it, to exploit these guys even more. Because from what it sounds like, Roy Jones is getting most of his money from the pay-per-view sales, right? I don't like that at all. We do know that I think one of the Paul brothers is going to be on this card. I think Badu Jack is going to be on this card too. This is just disgusting. Like, I don't get it. It's whatever. If people like it, you can like it. I'm not here to knock it. If you get off to this kind of shit, go for it, man. Like, it's up to you. But this just has never appealed to me. And plus, they want to make this into like a senior league now. The idea of a boxing, like a Legends League or a Senior League, just sounds like the worst idea possible. Like, imagine Chavez Sr. fighting right now. Like, no one wants to see that. Yeah, you can go hit the box. You can go hit the bag. Something like go do that. Go exercise. No one wants to see you get punched in the face anymore. You're an old man. It'd be like watching like your uncle get beat up, or your parents or your grandparents. Like, no one wants to fucking see that shit. And pay for it? Who would pay for that? What sadistic fuck are you? Oh, sorry. Don't mean to knock any of you out there that want to watch it. It's not for me at all. Especially since there's betting lines on it. Why? People bet on this fight and like bet on who wins it when there's no judges and there's no winner. Those people deserve to be ripped off, right? Like, there's no question about it. Like, they deserve to get ripped off by every bookie there is. It's ridiculous. No more comments on this topic. I'm sorry, guys. I just can't. Let me see anything else from the chat. Rebuild saying 250-year-olds coming back and taking over a Canelo fight week proves how poor boxing has been. Well, I mean, let's be honest here. Genuine question, everyone out there. I see everyone commenting. I do want genuine answers here, not jokes, because I know we can all joke here, but genuine answers here, please. Honor system here. If Canelo Alvarez Callum Smith gets made today, it's on the same date, right, as Mike Tyson, Roy Jones Jr. Which pay-per-view are you buying in a sense, right? Are you paying for DAZN or are you paying for Triller? Which app are you paying for? I am curious to see genuine responses here, because I mean, there's no way I'm watching Mike Tyson, Roy Jones Jr. in the year of our Lord 2020 in a fight that doesn't allow cuts or judges, versus Canelo Alvarez actually going for a fourth title fight or fourth divisional title fight, right? Like, sorry. And against Callum Smith, fuck yeah, I'm there for that, hands down. Think Cap saying, who is Jack fighting? I don't think it was announced who he was fighting. I think it was just rumored that he would be on the card. I forget who said that. I think it was either Manuk or Mike Coppinger, one of those guys. Okay. Sanity in the chat. Thank you. Team Batman saying Canelo Smith all day. Canelo Smith DAZN. Think Cap. No, you can, Rotary. What are you talking about? Saying we can't comment. We're from the UK. Absolutely, you can comment. There's DAZN beta. And plus, no matter what, I think a Canelo fight is going to be the DAZN UK launch. So it's absolutely applicable to you. Triller or Thriller or whatever the app is, that's an app I think that you can have in the UK too. So it's applicable there as well. So you can comment, Rotary. You can. Don't duck the question. Matt Jason, Camelot. Even if that's a typo, that shit's low-key funny. Moving on. Speaking of DAZN completely failing here, guys, right? the return of the GOAT, the Rat King himself, Sir Katsor Rungsvi, guys. He's back. He's back, guys. Thank fucking God.
But if you wanna find me, please just send me location. Send me location.
Send me location. And the location's not DAZN, it's YouTube. Shout out to Matching for this. This was a good fight, in my opinion. Good comeback fight for Rungsvi. And honestly, I think, if anything, it being on YouTube is awesome because it's fucking free. I don't want to pay money for fights anymore. Like, I'm of the mindset that fights should be as open to the mass public as possible, especially good fights, and especially good fighters. And Rungsvi Runarag is a kind of a throwback fight because Runarag has been a guy that's been up and down forever. He went back to the Olympics and everything. Clearly a tune-up fight in a way, but one that makes sense, one that still has name value even as the B-side. And Rungsvi has been off for a while. I'm excited. I'm excited to see him back. And plus, who knows what happens with Estrada Gonzalez? Because I know Eddie Hearn keeps saying he's trying to make that fight happen, but Gonzalez wants $1 million. And if you're asking Canelo-Alvarez to take steep pay cuts, there is no way DAZN is paying Roman Gonzalez $1 million guaranteed. It's just not happening, right, guys? So I doubt we get Estrada Gonzalez. And I honestly doubt Rungsvi asked for Gonzalez money. Even though I love Rungsvi, I don't think he thinks he's the star that Gonzalez is. And he probably isn't the star that Roman Gonzalez is, right? So it does make sense. I could see an Estrada Rungsvi rematch, trilogy fight, right? Instead of the Estrada Gonzalez rematch. That would not be shocking. And it would still be a fantastic fucking fight. No doubt about it. The fight guy saying, today another UFC banger for free. I know it's a good card today. Quick caveat to you guys, because I have all of you guys listening here. I was going to do another show right after this. I was going to do an MMA UFC show right after this, discussing UFC 251 pay-per-view numbers, sort of the Fight Island events that I haven't really reviewed yet, like Calvin Kattar, Davison Figueiredo, etc. Right, and obviously kind of quickly preview this Darren Till card against Robert Whittaker. And I was thinking of doing a post-fight show that was very quick. Would you guys be down for that? Would you guys want me to consolidate those two MMA shows into one show and just do all that MMA news and stuff? And tonight, when I review Whittaker Till, let me know, guys. Because I do want to provide some good content for you guys and more content moving forward, as we are seemingly getting combat sports back and running in a lot of ways. So I do want to provide great content for you. So again, let me know in the chat. Rotary. Tyson over Canelo all day. Oh my God. Yo, Canelo Alvarez would whoop Mike Tyson's ass right now. Just gotta say that. Moving on though. Last news topic, and then we're getting to the Vergil Ortiz fight very quickly. Ryan Garcia, it's not really a big news, but Ryan Garcia and Luke Campbell apparently have a offer for later this year. Negotiations are ongoing between Golden Boy and Matchroom per Mike Coppinger. So I am curious to see what happens here. Rob, shout out to Rob in the chat, saying just do a Joyce live fight chat and make it rain on MCR Towers. But Joyce is on ESPN Plus. Rob, is the fight on YouTube or something? Send me a link or something, because I think I checked and it was on ESPN Plus. So I want to watch the Joyce fight, even though he's fighting no one. But I always watch Joyce. Izzy Whittaker tonight? No. Not Izzy Whittaker. Darren Till Whittaker. Not Israel Adesanya. No. Izzy already beat up Whittaker. Come on, PD. Come on. Rob, why don't you do a Joe Joyce live fight chat, man? Okay, you have access. Is it on ESPN Plus? No, it's not. I just checked. I'll check again. I'll check my PS4 and everything. Okay, you can do a live chat with me, okay? Don't deny it, okay? You know you want to. So Get off your ass. Stop being lazy. Stop letting Lewis take over your studio. It's okay. Shit, let me go to ESPN Plus really fast. But Rob, I'll do some Joe Joyce content if you join me. But you're too busy, I guess. ESPN. PD saying, I thought Izzy was fighting Paulo Costa tonight. No, that's later this year. I don't know if it's 100% official, but I know they semi-announced it. I think it's October. Could be wrong about the month and the date, but that is happening. It's not today. Today is Darren Till versus Robert Whittaker. Shit, it is right there. Fuck, I'm wrong. Yo, and Nija's wrong too, because she told me it wasn't on ESPN either. Where'd you go, Nija? I got the sound on too. I should probably go turn that off really fast. Oh, well. Anyways, let's move on. Let's briefly talk about the fights that happened last night. Vergil Ortiz beat up Samuel Vargas and knocked him out, TKO in the 7th round. It was devastating how violent Ortiz was, in particular, how unrelentless, or I should say relentless he was. He was just such a violent offensive force. And, I still have issues with some of his game in terms of like a defensive standpoint, but it almost doesn't matter, right? Like in the same way, like a Leo Santa Cruz on the come up, it didn't matter that his defense wasn't always perfect because he threw so much and it was always with such violent intent. It's similar to that, but Ortiz has far more power pound for pound than Leo Santa Cruz, right? But he throws a fucking ton of punches around. His output's insane. That's always going to leave him open to counters. It's going to leave him open to get hit because he was hit, I thought, a little bit too much by Vargas. But he did everything else right. Like, from an offensive standpoint, like, he's almost perfect. There's a few things. He gets a little bit wild and loose at times, but I don't think he throws the left hook nearly enough as he should. I think he's a little bit too right-hand happy. But, again, very minor things here, right? It's not like Ortiz is, we look at Ortiz and say, oh, he's not ready for the big time. It's like, no, he's ready for the big time. He might lose in a firefight with a guy like Thurman or Earl Spence or Terrence Crawford, but it's hard to make the argument now that he is not technically ready for some real top-level competition. I think he is. I saw in the chat saying Ortiz got no sauce, nothing special. I push back on that a little bit because I think he is a lot like a Mikey Garcia, obviously, stablemates, etc. There's going to be a lot of similarities between them. In terms of really mastering the fundamentals and just sort of honing on that. But Ortiz has a mean streak that I think a lot of basic fighters don't have. Or, technically fundamental fighters don't have, right? He's not a defensive wizard. He's not a guy that's going to make you slip a lot. He's not a guy that's very tricky anyway. He's not unorthodox. Even with his defense is very much just block, absorb shots. His offense is very much just come forward, throw a lot of combinations, a lot of very straightforward combinations too. There's nothing that's shocking about him. There's not a lot of uppercuts and mixed in, stuff like that. And like I said, I don't think he throws enough left hooks. He's very much jab, a lot of right straights. But I do see all of the tools to make a championship caliber fighter. I do see all the tools to give a lot of these top guys issues, if not beat them. Like, I would love to see a Ordonis Ugas fight, a Danny Garcia fight. I would love to see a Thomas Delorme fight. I would love to see a Jesse Vargas fight. I would love to see those fights. And then fight the Keith Thurmans, the Manny Pacquiaos, the Earl Spence, the Terrence Crawfords, the Sean Porters of the world. He's ready for that next step up to the next step. And plus, he's so young. Like, I really don't want to get too hyperbolic on him. Because I feel like Gary's just somewhere listening and just smiling and grinning ear to ear, and I don't like that. I wanted him to be sad. Ortiz is somebody that right now, if you throw him in there with Spence, Crawford, Sean Porter, Manny Pacquiao, Keith Thurman, he would lose probably. But again, he is not far from that. He's a fight away. I've seen a lot of people ask for a Rashidi Ellis fight. I would like both guys to not fight each other and fight more established names respectively. If both of them fought the Delormes, the Sergey Lepinets of the world. We have Lepinets, Abkadorov happening soon. If Ortiz fought the winner of that fight, I would love that. That would be an awesome fight. Those types of fights make a lot of sense for me in terms of a matchmaking perspective. Speaking of matchmaking, let's talk about this god-awful idea to put Miranda Atkins up there against Vanessa Estrada. Because Estrada went up there in 7 seconds and just iced her in 2 combinations. And then DAZN stuck a camera in Atkins' unconscious face for like 30 seconds. It was weird. It was nasty. Shout out to Estrada to at least be respectful in the knockout, not celebrating until she knew that she was okay. This fight should not have happened. Miranda Atkins has never beat anyone that has won a fight. Repeat that. I feel like that's lost when I say that to some people. Miranda Atkins, even though she's 5-0, all 5 wins have come against people that have never won a professional fight in their life. How the hell did this person get matched up and was allowed to be matched up through Andy Foster from the commission, from Roberto Diaz, the matchmaker? Even though it was a late notice opponent shift, I understand that. I get it. How did they allow this to happen? For Estrada, a person of 20 years of boxing experience, who's how many fights? 19-0 now, but she was 18-0 walking into that fight. How the hell did this get allowed through the commission? How is this acceptable? It makes no sense. Everyone involved in making this fight should be ashamed of themselves. And it's not to throw any shots at Estrada. She's just a fighter, and all the blame should be at Golden Boy and the commission here. And maybe even more so the commission. They're the ones that should be policing this stuff. How the hell did Andy Foster allow this? But then again, he's allowing Mike Tyson and Roy Jones Jr. to fight. So, the fuck does Andy Foster care about? Ridiculous. Shane Mosley Jr. picked up a win. I have no thoughts about Shane Mosley Jr. I will leave it at that. Hector Valdez, undefeated guy. I know Gary was kind of hyped on him. I thought he looked decent. He might be a good regional guy. He might be like a poor man's Lewis Ritson. But that's kind of what I see. He's a regional guy. And he threw with a lot of mean intention. I liked the way he threw shots, his technique with it, his violence with it, but the volume wasn't there. I don't think the boxing IQ is there at all. So, kind of just an okay card. It was an Ortiz card. It was the Ortiz event, let's be honest. It was all to promote Vergil Ortiz because they couldn't promote Ryan Garcia, and they wanted to upset Ryan Garcia, so they promoted Ortiz more. It is what it is. But guys, that's going to be it for today's show because I'm going to be right back out of here, or right back here, I should say, soon. I'm going to be coming back. What time is it right now? So 2 o'clock Pacific Standard Time, people. 2 o'clock. So 30 minutes. I'll be back here talking MMA and UFC news. And plus, Rob said and everyone else has said, there's fights on right now. There's fights on today. So I'm going to be trying to give you guys content for those fights. Joe Joyce card. I'll be trying to give you guys content for the UFC card later tonight. So stay on the lookout for that. Find me, Matt Hunter, MCR, on all social media platforms. Hope you guys enjoyed the show. Hit the like button. Share the show. Subscribe. Patreon.com/Mixed Combat Radio. Have a great day, great night, evening. Peace.